Long nights and early mornings, feeling misunderstood and lonely, constant hard work and self-doubt. This is all part of having the courage to chase your dreams and become successful. Are you going to take the risk? I have, and it's worth it. Don't be afraid to take risk and fail. These are the experiences that will help you grow and evolve into a better version of yourself. Start today, be better tomorrow.
Welcome to the Guam Podcast. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the podcast belong solely to the host and guests, and not necessarily to Junior Achievement Guam or its affiliates.
Hi everybody, welcome to week 11 for the company program. This week I did not set somebody up to interview. Instead, I thought I'd do a little quick training because I heard you guys talk about communication and time management being two issues. And part of our program, we want to get you work readiness. And when you get into the workforce, you're going to be working with people from everywhere, from different walks of life, from different companies, from different schools, different backgrounds, etc. So I thought this would be great. Next week, I'm going to continue communication because our guest was going to be a friend of mine, Andrea, and she is a coder and she works with a group of people, and they work with companies all over the world. Now, most of the people that she works with, she has never met in years and years and years. She has never met these people. And so she's going to share how, she works with other people long distance. I mean, even the companies that she works with, everything is over the phone, over the internet. So that seems to be one of the problems. And I thought this will be a great way to give you a little bit of background. So let me share my screen here. So here we go. So I thought I'd talk about communication and social styles. When you're in a group of people and you don't know anything about them, it's either whether you're in sales. You guys are doing sales right now, right? You're working with your advisors. You're working with a bunch of people from different schools, and you don't necessarily see them. And the nice thing of the one thing about social styles is it's all about your behaviors. That's what you can see in other people. So, a lot of people think, oh, I don't know about this person, their personality. We talk about people's personality, but we really don't know about the personality, because personality are those inner qualities. It's your attitudes and aptitudes. It's your, I put, dreams and your values and the different abilities that people have. That's all inside, right? That's all the stuff that you don't necessarily see. All you see a lot of times are those observable behaviors, the things that sit out on the outside of the things that you can say and do. So part of it is really about getting to know people and getting people working together a little bit more that you don't normally necessarily get to do when you're not face to face. So it's about perspective, and the perspective is really about the lens that you're working through, or that you're viewing through, right? It's what you're really focused on. It's where you come from and what you're looking at, right? Somebody who's been off island 20 times, they see things through a different lens than somebody who's never ever left island. On the other side, there's perception. And perception is the way we see somebody behave or they're doing something, and right away we make a judgment, right? And that's not right. You don't know anything about the other person. So there's different traits that people have, right? The characteristics. It's like you kind of can think, oh, this person's so honest. Oh, they're arrogant. They're sincere. They're really nice. They're so kind. But we have certain traits that we all carry. And then there's, observable behaviors. We assigned a trait because of somebody's observable behavior. And we might think because somebody's slower paced and they don't necessarily, have less eye contact, or, they're kind of kicked back and lean back, we give them a trait. We say something about them versus, somebody who might be a little bit louder, or, leans forward, or, is much louder, like I said, is we'd say, oh, they're really arrogant. Well, we don't know that. But what we do is we make a judgment, right? We say, I like that person. I just trust them, or I trust him or her, but, he irritates me, or he annoys me. So you kind of start judging people, and you really don't even know anything about the person. So you really just have your observable behaviors to go on. So instead of saying this person is this way, you kind of have to stop. You kind of have to say, wait a minute, let me see if I can find something else, because their perception is really, our interpretation of somebody. And that's based on sometimes our background, our education, our environment. It could be the family, it's all different things. The perception is kind of a point of view, but it's really a meaning that we've applied to something. And normally that meaning is given to us by somebody else. So in a lot of organizations, what we do is we do assessments. And the whole thing is that, we live in a very, very diverse world. Our island is very diverse. Look how many cultures we have on this island. Within our companies, our JA companies right now, look at all the different companies that are being sponsors or being, your advisors, and then look at the students that you're with. You got students from different schools. Some are public schools, some are private schools. You got girls and you got boys, and you've got, like I said, the different cultures within the students. Sometimes English is second language. But the thing is, you got this big mixed pot, but diversity is what makes you work. Diversity is what you need, because that's where you get innovation. That's where you get more creativity. That's just, variety is the spice of life. But the thing is that you need a diverse team. And instead of trying to, separate them, it's really appreciating the differences. So we do different assessments, and the assessments, what they do is they just help us have a common language. So I'm just going to teach you a couple common languages here, a little bit. But whenever we do this, it's normally in a quadrant. It's 4 sides. It's always a box, and there's a bazillion different kind of assessments out there, but it's normally always in 4 boxes. And on the horizontal line, it's a lot of times it's how assertive somebody is. You're either very ask assertive or very tell assertive. And it's really how we interact with each other. It's not being aggressive. It's not about aggressiveness. It's really about assertive. So do we ask a little bit more questions? Okay. So some of the things is, when you look at somebody is, do they speak a little bit slower? Do they have a lot of words? Are they kind of quiet? Do they lean back? Are they relaxed? Are they less direct? Or on the other side, are they very assertive? And again, it's a continuum. You've got a long space between somebody way over here and way over there. And the whole thing, when you do these assessments, you find out you're a little bit of everything. They might put you in one corner, but you're going to find out you're a little bit of everything. On the other side, like I said, people speak faster, louder. They speak a lot more. Their hands are more directed. They speak with their hands. They might lean forward a little bit more. They're more direct. I think somebody said, Miss Meg told us, if you're not one thing, if I asked about who's your primary target customer, and the comment was, oh, everybody. And I said, if it's everybody, then it's nobody. But I was very direct, so you can kind of tell where I'm at, right? On the other side is the responsiveness. So that's that horizontal line, and that's that continuum. And it's like, how controlled are you? Are you a little bit more on the, we call it the more emoting, or you show your emotions a little bit more, you show those feelings, whatever, or more controlling. And a lot of times that's more, on the bottom it's think of like people, on the top it's more fact-based. So let's look at, again, back here. So some of the behaviors, when you're on the top, maybe your voice a lot less inflection. You're more task. The subjects are more task oriented. Much more fact and database. Hands, a little bit less, as we already mentioned. A little bit more rigid posture. Your expression, you might not be able to tell that with control. I mean, look at here. I just happened to catch Riley. He's not, he's not that controlling. But you might not know what he's thinking. Where my daughter, she has the big smile on her face, right? So on the bottom side, when we're talking about somebody who's more emoting, those people, their voice is a little bit more inflection. Subjects are a little bit more about people, and descriptions are about opinions and stories and that kind of stuff. Where what they do, again, we talked about hands, a little bit hands more, and they're a little bit more casual. And like I said, they're a little bit more expression. You read their face. They don't have that poker face, right? Poker face is on the top. The people, they kind of wear their feelings on their sleeve, something like that. So the whole thing is that we get along with people that are similar to us. So you get along with people, next to you, whether it's next to you on that bottom or the top level or on the sides, right? It's real easy. But when you cross over, so if you got somebody who's really tele-assertive, very emoting, working with somebody who's very ask-assertive, so less ask-assertive and very controlled, that's where you sometimes have the issues. And that's what happens sometimes, and that's where conflict happens too. So you want to work within your team and look at somebody's personality, because everybody has strengths and weaknesses. Okay? So what we do a lot of times in these kind of social styles, for instance, Myers-Briggs, Strength Finders, colors, anagrams, everybody has, they profile and they label you. Now, it's not a bad thing, because what that does is just kind of gives you a common language. So a lot of times they use one thing, DISC, whatever. Certain ones are used more often in corporate, and some are used more for coaching, some are used more for I don't know, different things. But the main thing is that you have, if these words make any sense, top right, you got the driver, the executing, their dominance. On the bottom right, expressive, influence. So you can read where everybody is. You got the introverts on one side, the extroverts on the other. You got the thinkers up on top and the feelers on the bottom. So, but you kind of have this profiling and labels. What I'm going to say is also caution you on labeling people, okay? Because even though their behaviors takes them in a certain place, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's how that person is. It could be because that person is the boss, or they're the president of the company. They have a certain responsibility that you don't have, etc. So you don't know, you can only, you have that perception of somebody, but you don't know what perspective they're coming from, right? What kind of lens they might have to be coming to you from. So let's look at a few more behaviors. So these are just different tendencies and preferences between the different quadrants. Again, that top left, just give me the facts. Bottom one's one for all for one. Those are the relationship builders. Those are the team players, the ones that want to get everybody together. The ones on the top right, let's get it done now. They want to get things done. They don't want to have a bunch of stories. They just want to get it done. Bottom right, it's like, yeah, I got this great idea. It's going to be so good. So I wonder if you guys can figure out who I am so far. Then you have different characteristics too. Here's some more tendencies and preferences. So like I said, everybody has certain needs and orientations and growth actions. So like I said, there's not one that's better than the other. So, the top life people, sometimes those people, they need to be right. Their orientation is more in thinking. Their growth action though is to declare. Sometimes you'll talk to those kind of people and they're like, oh, well, give me some more information. I'm not sure yet. They're thinking, they're kind of hesitating. Well, they're a little bit more ask assertive. So you have to sometimes slow down for them. If they're talking to somebody else, they understand, but they can get that paralysis from analysis. On the bottom side, those people, they need a little bit more personal security. Orientation is very much about relationships, but their growth, they need to initiate a little bit more. Ask the question. They'll sit back until they're asked, and they might need to initiate it instead. Top right, same thing. They want the results. They want the results now. Orientation is very much taking action, get it done, and their growth is to listen. But they're so quick and so fast, and this is what I want, that they don't always have great listening skills. They need to kind of slow down and listen a little bit. Or same thing on the bottom right. You have, they need a certain amount of personal approval. They really like spontaneity, go by the seat of their pants, but their growth action is to check. They sometimes have to be reeled in, checked out a little bit, make sure that they understand and get that clarity that they're actually still going in the right direction versus they're just going and rolling down that hill, and maybe they need to have some kind of a stopgap to slow them down a little bit. So the main thing is do not judge, okay? There is no best style, and this is just kind of a little bit reminder. There's no best style. Behavior is not about personality. Style is only a theme in somebody's performance. So just because somebody has a certain style, that's just a theme. That doesn't say who they are. Everybody has areas of growth, and one of the best predictors is to play towards the strength, not the weakness. So when you think about the perspective of somebody, again, before you judge, okay, we might all be a little bit different on the outside. We might all behave a little bit differently, but avoid trying to define somebody too quickly, okay? Remain very objective. Avoid making like and dislike judgments. Separate style clues from assigned roles and authority, like I said earlier. And then basically just get out of the way and accept people the way they are. So once you kind of know what somebody's style is, that's really good to understand where people are within your team. And there's assessments, and I have a bunch of stuff, and I have actually extra prices for nonprofits for JA, and we might put this in as one of the part of the program next year as part of the work development parts of JA, work readiness. But anyway, so versatility is a great way to gain support and respect. And the thing about versatility, because it doesn't matter, as I said earlier, what style you are, what behaviors you are, but there's other things that can help you gain that support and respect. And it's, one is image, right? That's your, physical presence. It's your attire. It's, how you dress. And that's why what Joey always says, hey, this is a business, you want to come professional. You want to come in some kind of a team uniform. Think about it when you walk into certain organizations, or you see people coming into your stores, or you see people, walking around a store that have uniforms on. It's just like you at schools. You have a school uniform, and it's supposed to help build a certain amount of camaraderie, etc. But it's the certain presence. So when you walk into a company, they know, hey, you're from Creatability. Oh, you're from I can't even think of all the names, Title Guarantee, but you have a uniform, or you have a certain attire that shows who you are. Next would be presentation, and that's your ability to deliver information. It's how you engage the audience. It's your confidence. It's sometimes the grammar that the words that you use. So your presentation style will matter, and that's versatile. And it depends on who you're talking to. One of the things I didn't mention earlier, again, as you're working with somebody else, when you look at a behavior and you say, oh, that person's very ask assertive, I'm very tell assertive, I know, well, wow, maybe I need to slow down a little bit, or maybe I need to initiate and ask more questions, so they don't have to dig it out of me. Maybe I need to listen a little bit more to those people down below, in that other quadrant. So again, it's really about knowing a little bit more about the presentation. So when you're presenting, when you're selling to people, you might want to look at the people a little bit. You might want to ask a few more questions. A lot of people, as soon as they go to sell, I might give somebody a whole bunch of pens and say, okay, these are what you need to sell today. Sell pens, and they'll start, oh, okay, and the first thing said, oh, well, we got these great pens, and they're red, and the ink is red, and blah blah blah, and you're talking about this pen, so you might be talking about your product, i.e., whatever you might be selling. I'm selling these rocks right now. I think I've done this before, and I'm going to be talking about these rocks. Well, somebody might not like blue, so instead, before you even sell a pen to somebody, you might want to say, oh, I hear you're looking for pens. What are you going to be using them for? What do you like about a pen? Do you prefer black ink or blue ink? So instead of throwing everything out there to sell them, you might want to say, ooh, this is the pen I'm going to sell. Oh, you want something to give to your customers and have logos on it. And I know I have a bunch of those too. But it's like, oh, so you might want this pen. Or this pen is a little bit special because it has a stylus on it at the same time. So you can use it on your iPads. So the whole thing is that you want to know your audience a little bit. And then it's about gaining, having confidence. Okay. And that's really your capacity to achieve your goals, right? They all want to know, are you, your competence is not only knowledge, but it's also, are you dependable? Do you persevere through things? How's your flexibility? And that comes, again, back into that attitude. So competence is, a little bit of, those capacities to achieve goals. How it's not just about knowledge, but it's how you can present and the image that you bring. So the competence. Then you have your feedback. And feedback is verbal and non-verbal skills, right? It's how well you listen. It's, do you get clarification to understand what somebody is talking about? Do you question them? Those clarifying questions, like I said. And it might also be having to do with a little bit of that perception or perspective. So versatility allows you to, be able to walk into somebody that you might not know nothing about, or somebody who's extremely different from you. I mean, you might be, 16, 17, going in to sell somebody who's, in their 40s or 50s or 60s. And it's like, how do I approach this person? And you get really, well, you know what? A lot of times it doesn't really matter. If you have a great image, you know how to talk, you have good, you use good words. You can kind of look around them. You can sometimes look around their office and see some different things. This kind of training, can be a 2-day training. So I'm giving it to you really fast. And just understand that there's a whole lot more to this. And so it doesn't matter what the personality is, but it's how well can you work together with other people. So again, the best way to get support and respect from others, again, you're all leaders. It's about helping other people. It's about knowing yourself, knowing your own style, controlling yourself. So again, knowing yourself, it's recognizing the impact that you make on somebody. If you're a loud person, you might want to quiet it down a little bit, depending on who you are. And I'm not talking about be inauthentic. I'm just talking about, again, it goes back to that versatility, is how well you work with a wider audience. The controlling yourself, again, take responsibility for the tension that you could give on somebody else. Okay, there's no reason to be mean. Know what kind of impact you make, and then depending on who you're working with, you might have to change that so you don't step on somebody's toe and turn up the tension. And the other thing is, like I said, know others, know yourself, know others, and that again, observe very objectively. Okay, watch. You a lot of times what those hot buttons are. Don't push them just to push them. Where the tension levels are going to come. It's like, how do they respond? How might they respond? If I walked into an office and this guy's kind of quiet and shy or whatever, and I walk in saying, hey, what's going on? Let's do this. They might not appreciate that a whole lot, and you might just turn them off big time. And at the same time, if you know somebody who is very loud and want to get things done, and let's get it done now, we got to have, and all of a sudden you're just kind of sitting there and not doing anything, you're going to drive that person nuts. It's like, I can't get an answer out of that person. They don't say anything, they don't talk. But maybe it's because I need to be quiet for a little bit and listen to that person, and vice versa. Okay, so that's the whole thing about doing something for others, is make other people comfortable. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of give you that. This is a whole lot more. We might expand this, but I just wanted to give you a little bit on communication, how you might get along with your group a little bit more. Thank you again. Diversity is something that you need on your team. It's about appreciating the beauty in other people. And I'm just looking at a tree. There's so many different kind of trees out there, but there's a lot of love, and everybody has a life that's gone round and around, and as they expand, different things are going to happen. So anyways, those are my two photos. But anyways, thank you for today. Welcome to week 11, or actually it might even be, this is week 11. So maybe actually now this is going to go on for week 12. So what you need to be doing this week is preparing for your liquidation. Okay, start planning. Create the JA career assessment, create your personal action plan, work on your annual report, liquidation of the company, and your business presentation. So it's still the holidays, it's still early. If I was in a company, I would probably be still selling my little butt off as much as I could, but just in the background, make sure you start preparing. So good luck, sell, but on the same side, get yourself working on that liquidation and being prepared, so it makes it a lot easier for you all to have a great year end and kill it in the competition, you guys. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you. Adios.